Hi everyone, and welcome to my Singapore vlog. I am so excited to share this incredible adventure with you and my time in the country of Singapore for a few days. So I started off strong, going straight to the Jewel, which is actually part of the international airport, and people extend their layovers just to see this, and for good reason. Look at the Jewel, it is so beautiful. I loved it and spent so much time here. Now, aside from the Jewel, this is also a massive shopping center, which was kind of overwhelming, but it was so cool to see all of the different shops and stores that they had here. They had luxury, they had Disney, all while being able to look at the Jewel the whole time. It was so cool. So I just got to my hotel here in Singapore. I'm staying at the Amoy Hotel. They are above and beyond. I have stayed at many places, and I have never before received the welcome and customer service that is given here. I walked in, they immediately ran out to the car to grab my luggage. They greeted me with tea immediately. They thanked me. They wrote me a handwritten card thanking me for staying with them, gave me all of the lowdown on everything around the area while I'm checking in. They were so nice. You have complimentary drinks and beverages in your room. It's insane, and this place is so cute. I'm just kind of blown away. I feel so lucky that I found this place, and so if you're ever in Singapore, 100% recommend staying here. It is so cool. So the next day started out strong with a complimentary breakfast at a restaurant, which was so bougie and nice. I was so happy. And then I started touring the hotel a little bit more. This hotel is so unique in that it's actually a historical preservation site, which is so cool. And so they have a lot of history about Singapore and the building itself that you can tour around the hotel and learn more about it, which I think is just so unique and special in a stay abroad. Alright, so it is my first full day here in Singapore. I am gonna head out to breakfast and leave my beautiful hotel and explore this incredible city. I'm so excited. Let's go check it out. So the first temple I visited was actually a Hindu temple, which is located in Chinatown, which was very interesting. But they had an entire ceremony here as well, which was so beautiful, and the building itself just took my breath away. I love learning more about different cultures and religions, and the site was no different. It was beautiful. Now, visiting a monochrome cafe was actually on my bucket list for Singapore. They have these all over, and I went to the first one, and it was so cute, and the matcha was very good as well. I highly recommend it. After exploring Chinatown for a little bit, I decided to take the metro, which was really easy to navigate, to the Singapore Botanic Gardens, which were so beautiful. I loved it. So I'm now at the Botanical Gardens. They are so beautiful, but it is so, big surprise, humid. I just am accepting that I'm constantly drenched in sweat this trip, I guess. At least it's not raining though, so that's good. But it's so beautiful here. Let's go check out what the Botanical Gardens have to offer here in Singapore. Now, while most of the park is free, you do have to pay for the orchid garden. So something really cool and good to know as a student, when visiting here, if you bring your ID, which I did just for reasons like this, I only had to pay $3 to get into this like orchid garden part of the botanical gardens instead of 15. So travel tip for my fellow university students, bring your ID everywhere, even internationally, because you can get discounts. Well, my data is not working again. I'm lost, but that's okay. That's how it's going this trip, I guess. I ended up getting so lost, but ended up in Chinatown somehow, which was a part I didn't recognize, but had a good time just exploring, seeing what else Chinatown had to offer, until I started walking down all of these little side streets, and I got so excited because I ended up finding my way back. Now, one of the most unique parts of my time in Singapore was the hawker culture, which is like an extreme street food version. And so I got a lot of dumplings of different types of cuisine that people had recommended there, one of which was chicken and rice, which, to be completely honest, I was not a fan of, but to each their own. And so I really just made the best out of this, and it was so cheap as well. And so we were able to get all of these courses for less than $10. It was crazy. So I did just try some street food. It was so good. The like vendor guy who like tries to get you to come in was like, I'll give you one piece so you'll come back tomorrow for free. One piece. And I was like, you know what? You're in Singapore. Just do it. I did it. And it was so much better than my dinner. But now I'm scared because it was like on the grill, everything like real street food. But it was delicious. After walking around, I ended up getting a little lost again, but eventually found my way back to my hotel and called it a night. The next day started early, and I made my way out into the city to first look at the infamous Merlion statue, which was so cool. This whole bay was just so beautiful. I absolutely loved it, even if the sun was crazy intense that day, but just spent some time enjoying the sights here. Due to the rain and thunder, my reservation for the sky deck got pushed back a little bit, but I was able to briefly look at gardens at the bay before heading up to the Sky Park observation deck, which was so cool. Do not go up here if you have a fear of heights. It was intense, but I loved the views from up here. They were so beautiful. Then, after the observation deck, I made my way over to Gardens by the Bay, which have the super trees, which were so cool. And even though there was a ton of construction, this entire site was still so beautiful despite the rain as well. I really enjoyed my time here. Another really cool part of Gardens by the Bay is the cloud forest, which you do have to pay to get into, but it is so worth it. This entire building has so much to see. I was just amazed at how big and complex this entire kind of like little park was within Gardens by the Bay. You ended up walking quite a bit actually, but there was so much different like foliage and vegetation to see and artwork to see. I absolutely loved it. I wish I had more time. I did not budget accordingly, but it was incredible. So it's actually pretty great, this entire Super Tree or Gardens at the Bay. Most of it is free, so you can completely walk into the park, can see the Super Trees at no cost. It's open to the public, which is amazing. And then it's just an extra cost if you want to see things like the Cloud Dome, Floral Fantasy, the Flower Dome, those kinds of things. So it's great. Now, one of my favorite parts of Garden by the Bay was Floral Fantasy. It was straight out of a Bridgerton story. It was so beautiful. They had so many different types of flower arrangements hanging from the ceiling. It was unbelievably beautiful. I highly recommend adding this to your time by Gardens at the Bay. Then I got to walk back to my hotel in the rain. Also saw this beautiful guy. Later that night, I decided to go back to the Hawker Center, which I got to learn a little bit more about, which was really cool, learning from streets to stalls. And then here, I had such a hard time finding something to eat, and so I just went back to the basics and had some amazing random food that I actually ended up liking quite a bit. I couldn't even describe it to you. It was sweet and cold. And then took in the last of the Hawker Center before eventually walking back to my hotel and calling it a night. For my last day, I started early with my amazing complimentary breakfast, which I really just can't talk about enough. I loved it, and then walked out of Chinatown, which is actually where my hotel was located, and saw a few temples along the way, walking back to where the park was with the Merlion at the Bay, and just took in a little bit of time before I had to sprint to the airport and just enjoyed my morning. Alright, so I'm now leaving Singapore, headed off to Thailand for about a week, a little over a week. Thank you so much as always for watching. I really, really appreciate it. As always, you can find more information about my travels and travel tips and recommendations on my website, sarahmarietravel.com. Thank you so much for watching.